Hello, and welcome to another episode of Gizmos and Gadgets. We are on our way back to Shady Glen for our first plane? Yeah, alright. Level 3, propeller-driven airplane. You know, I should probably actually look at these things, but... Because I at least do not remember ever reading these as a kid. I don't think I even really knew that you could click on these things and see them, so... This is a lot of text that doesn't really... You know, like, that's the thing, right? If this is ostensibly going to be an education game, rather than, as I had previously talked about, you know, a memorization game, you'd sort of hope that some of these descriptions would be more informational or more insightful into the science that's being taught. But as I also already addressed, like, it's sort of a question of how much are you actually supposed to glean as a small child? As a 7 to 12-year-old, like, what's the actual likelihood of you digesting the science that's being shown here, right? I just don't want to do these magnet ones. I'm probably not going to do any for the rest of the game, if I'm totally honest. Obviously, these are all complex machines, and explaining individually the, like, difference in, like, ball bearings versus bushings and the lubrication and all these other things. Like, these are reasonably advanced topics in science, certainly beyond what I would consider to be reasonable for 7 to 12-year-olds. But at the same time, you sort of built the game around that, so I don't know what you want. And again, this is, you know, I was talking about the kinetic potential energy one before. It's like, these are all topics that I don't think there's anything in this game that you couldn't potentially explain to a child, but that you would have to, you know, substantially reduce the complexity of it for them to digest. And that said, you know, that's what a good science teacher does, or should do if the curriculum doesn't get in their way, is to... is that where you want it, or do you want it in the middle? We'll see. Is to make complex topics digestible without, you know, teaching them wrong. Which is sort of my gripe with that energy types one, most of all, is that the, like, what type of energy is this, is sort of very hand-wavy, and wavers between being, like, very detailed and very undetailed. Like, explaining to a child that a horse uses chemical energy is like, boy, where do you even start with that? Like, you're not gonna, you're probably not planning to try to explain, mammal metabolism to a child, but also, like, I don't know, where do you draw those lines, is sort of my point. Hopefully you draw them in a place where they're still, the kid still gets some reasonable amount of accurate information, without being fed some sort of misinformation. And I can think of a few cases during my education in general. I was thinking about my science education, but now that I think more generally speaking, history education is by far the worst in terms of accuracy and omission. But science education as well can really fall into some very serious... Oh, Jesus. Some very serious pitfalls of... We oversimplified it to the point that it's now wrong. And listen, I'm not going to cast blame or infer malice, but I'm not going to bother to count those. Fuck it. We'll try it one way and then we'll try it the other. But there's a level at which you go, well, did they actually mean to teach it this way, or was it just they were too lazy or to piece this into something more digestible or more comprehensible, or just, be willing to say, we're not going to teach this to you right now. We'll explain it. You'll get to it when you get to it. Well, I have a lot of gripes in general about all kinds of education, if that wasn't already readily apparent. Had a thought there and now I lost it. Let's see, what are we actually working with here? Fully tapered, partially, I assume partially tapered is not as good. Retractable, wheel pants, fuck off. Automatic direction finding, ADF radio, compass plus map. Yes, I think we'll get rid of that. Fucking electric eel, let's go. Flaps that rotate only. Flaps that makes a slot. Yikes, guys. Yikes. I'm gonna assume that's the one that's trash, since they didn't even attempt to get that one right. Piss paint. And that's everything. Alright. Why are you not... That's interesting. I hadn't run into that before. If he's tapping his foot like that, you have to wake him up, wiggle him side to side, and then reach down. Otherwise he won't reach down. He'll just keep tapping his foot. You guys are really hammering this one home. But So it does teach these things, but it's like, why is it buried under the hint? I don't know. This really, on the whole, the game ends up being more of a quiz of your knowledge than a strictly educational tool. That said, it's a damn sight better than the vast majority of, whoops, nope. The vast majority of games for children these days, which just are absolutely reprehensible and detestable in terms of their content or lack thereof. It's basically turned at, flashing lights and things to keep the children from opening their mouths, I guess. Flattened engine with fuel injection. Pretty sure round engine. I mean, the type of the engine doesn't really matter unless you really want to get into details of how rotary engines work versus typical 4-stroke. Hold on, I'm double checking here. Flat engine with the turbocharger is the best one, yeah. So, I mean, so I don't actually know if this means the cyclical engines or it probably is more in reference to old style plane engines like you would see in the early 1900s, where you essentially have pistons that go in all directions radiating out from a central shaft. And those are inefficient, but I don't know. Passing judgment on a whole class of engines is, well, I don't know. I'm being excessively picky with this game, but I have expectations. All right, so let's see. Oh, nice. Can we get a frickin' fuselage in here? Flaps split from the bottom of the wing. I would think that would be better. The fact that it says only makes me think, okay, so Fowler flaps are the best ones. Closed cockpit with a slight angle of the tail. That might be the best one, actually. Are all the propellers the same? 3 blades and a spinner. All right, well, let's get up there, see what's above. Ah, shit. Well, that's no good. I think I know what this one is, yeah. Oh, you're gonna be an asshole. There we go. That's what I was talking about way back in maybe the first episode about it absolutely bullying you into nailing the placement. Really? You know what? Something I never thought about until now is how it decides which tube to send you back down into. Because there are 2 of them, but there's only one from here. So... come on. I don't know why that arrow doesn't work. So it did just send me back to the same place, but... let's see if I can get where I want to go. I want to get into the other room and up to... I think this is the... oh, fuck. No, that's not what I meant to do. I think if I do this, it'll get me where I want to be. Oh, well, not that. That was the wrong thing. Ah, damn it. I'm gonna do one big loop because there's no other way out of this. Let's get out here. I mean, this is both, right? I mean, it literally is, in the sense that it's got potential energy from the water held back and kinetic energy of the water, some of the water moving, but I don't know. Which one are you going to be a stickler about? Let's see. Does hang gliding freak anyone else out? Like, a lot? I think I would probably go skydiving before I went hang gliding. Something about strap me to a kite and jump off a cliff seems more ill-advised than, you know, jump out of a perfectly good plane. Okay. There we go. If you've ever hang glitted before, and also happen to be watching this video, which is like, there's basically a 0% chance of that. Elliptical wing. What do you mean elliptical? Is that in the profile? What are you talking about? I guess so. That straight constant wing. That sounds fun. Yeah, I'm not much one for the extreme sports. But I also tend to be like up for most things once. I'm pretty game to try stuff, but yeah, there's some things that just seem like a bad idea on their face. And I don't know. Hang gliding just gives me the heebie-jeebies. All right, let's fly this puppy. Oh, hell yeah. Kick Morty's ass. All right. Pretty solid. So, on the next one, we're back to building race cars, I think. I guess we'll see. See you guys then.